Here at nationalgeographic.com, we have a story by Sarah Gibbons. It's entitled, Is This the Face of Mary Magdalene? In a medieval town in the south of France, a crypt, tucked beneath a basilica house, has one of the world's most famous sets of human remains, a skull and bones rumored to belong to Jesus' companion, Mary Magdalene. Now, a scientist and an artist have used the remains to reconstruct what this woman would have looked like when alive. The facial reconstruction is based on computer modeling of the skull. It depicts a woman with a pointed nose, high cheekbones, and a round face. For those who believe these are the bones of Mary Magdalene, this is the face of one of the Catholic Church's most famous women. Philippe Carter, a biological anthropologist from the University of Versailles, says, "We are absolutely not sure that this is the true skull of Mary Magdalene, but it was very important to get it out of anonymity." Cecilia A performed the reconstruction with Philippe Frouche, a visual forensic artist. Mary Magdalene has long been a controversial figure within the Catholic Church. Beginning around the 5th century, she was depicted as a prostitute, and popular but unproven theories also depict her as the wife of Jesus. In 2004, an interview with National Geographic, Harvard Divinity School professor Karen King noted that the only conclusive evidence of Magdalene's role points to her as a follower of Jesus. At the time, King alleged that the Magdalene may have played a crucial role in developing the early foundations of Christianity. Rumors that her remains were in the south of France gained popularity in 1279. Rebecca Lee McCarthy wrote in the book Origins of the Magdalene Laundries. Since then, McCarthy wrote, her remains have been found in at least 5 other regions. So I guess this is a 1 out of 6 chance, then, that it really is Mary. Despite inconclusive evidence about what became of Mary, Frouche and Cecilia A wanted to put a face behind the famed Saint Maxime's skull. The two became interested in the skull 3 years ago, when Frouche was in the south of France to work on a facial reconstruction for a different skull. He took a detour to the small town, and while touring the basilica, explored the crypt where the skull is housed behind an ornate case of glass. Since the skull was last studied in 1974, the glass case in which it is housed has been locked down. The researchers circumvented this by taking over 500 photographs showing different angles of the skull. Based on these photos, they were then able to reconstruct a 3-dimensional computer-generated model of the face that showed characteristics such as skull size, cheekbones, and bone structure. From this information, they were able to glean that the skull belonged to a woman who died at around 50 years old and who was of Mediterranean descent. The shape of the nose and other features were determined using trigonometric ratios based on characteristics consistent with the skull's age, sex, and ethnicity. Photographs of hair found on the skull indicated that the woman had dark brown hair, and the skin tone was determined based on tones typically seen in Mediterranean women. A type of clay historically used to prevent lice was also seen on the strands of the hair. Some characteristics, such as weight and facial expression, were subject to interpretation. According to Frouche, their process is developed based on forensic techniques developed by the American FBI and is typically used in crime scene investigations. In the future, Cecilia would like to conduct more research with the skull outside of its glass case. Techniques such as carbon dating, which can determine the age of an artifact, can be done by removing only a small portion of the skull, which the Catholic Church has not yet allowed. He hopes also one day to conduct DNA tests on the remains to determine geographic origin. Both Cecilia and Frouche are adamant that the research was conducted independently of the Church and as an academic pursuit, but they shared the images with religious leaders in the town, who they report were pleased by the reconstruction. The possibility of working on such a renowned person, says Frouche, was very emotional work for us. While the researchers have only a face so far, they hope one day to reconstruct her entire body based off the femur and rib bones associated with this skull.